Sydney coach and Aari McDonald out for the season. Bro, this is not good, guys, at all. Disaster. Absolute disaster for the Indiana Fever. Announced, okay, it's breaking news that 2-point guards, okay, for the Indiana Fever, both of these young women, both of these ladies will no longer be able to participate in this current season. We lost two very, very competent players, including the starting point guard that was filling in for the other starting point guard. Fever front office has released an injury update for the team moving forward. Sydney Colson left ACL tear and Aari McDonald broken bone and right foot. The Indiana Fever have just suffered a massive blow. Two key players are officially gone for the rest of the season, and the roster is now hanging by a thread. With the point guard position wiped out, all eyes are turning to one name, Caitlin Clark. Comment 100% if you support Caitlin Clark. Well, this is the kind of update I never want to have to give. And this is a bad one, and it affects the same position. The Indiana Fever season took a gut punch that no fan or player could have prepared for. It's time to put up the Caitlin Clark bat signal. In one single night, during what should have been just another step in the playoff chase, disaster struck twice, and at the worst possible position on the court. Colson sustained an interior crucial ligament ACL tear all Sydney into her ACL in her left knee during the first quarter of the game. It began in the first quarter when veteran guard Sydney Colson crumpled to the floor without contact right away. It didn't look good. The later confirmation was the news no one wanted to hear: a torn ACL in her left knee. I think there's a chance that wraps her career. I mean, at that age, it's going to be very tough for any player. That's a season-ending injury. But for Colson now in her mid-30s, it could be career-defining. You pretty much have to be Sloot good. And Sloot's going to be playing for minimums if she wants to come back. ACL rehab is grueling, and at her age, there's a very real fear. This could be her last game in a WNBA uniform. That's kind of a sad one. Because Sid, Go in her defense has had some big games. There's been games. She's been a steady pair of hands. She's been more than just a body on the roster. She's been a leader, a steady backup, and a voice in the locker room that younger players lean on. Losing her is not just a gap in the rotation. It's a void in team culture. While Aari McDonald suffered a broken bone in her right foot during the fourth quarter. My goodness, guys. Then came the second blow, this time in the fourth quarter. Aari McDonald, who had been one of the bright spots since Caitlin Clark's injury, was suddenly seen limping off the court with the trainer. The official update later confirmed the worst, a broken bone in her right foot. And Aari McDonald, broken bone and right foot, will both miss the remainder of the season after suffering injuries during our game in Phoenix on Thursday. Just like that, another point guard was gone for the season. For McDonald, this was especially cruel timing. She'd been in the middle of a resurgence, showing she could run the offense, push the pace, and spark momentum on defense. She had fought to re-establish herself in the league and was proving she belonged. Fever have injuries to all their point guards. Now that progress has been put on hold. What makes this situation catastrophic is not just the loss of two players. It's who they are and where they play, including the starting point guard that was filling in for the other starting point guard, especially with Caitlin down. And when Caitlin's back, she was getting DMPS, and she was happy I did DMPS, and she was coming back in and playing. To play 30 minutes in one of those games, both Colson and McDonald are point guards. Both were filling in while Caitlin Clark was sidelined, and both were essential in keeping the team afloat during a stretch where ball handling and floor leadership were already thin. While Aari McDonald suffered a broken bone in her right foot during the fourth quarter. My goodness, guys. Aari McDonald was giving us production. Aari McDonald was doing what she had to do to, get us up to speed with everything, with Caitlin going out, Sydney coaching, and Aari McDonald out for the season. Bro, when you lose one point guard, you adjust. When you lose two in the same night, both for the season, you're staring at a structural collapse in your lineup, and the Fever don't have the luxury of an easy fix. Trade deadline. Oh my God. On top of it, the trade deadline just came and went. You can't do it. Wow. I mean, literally 4 days ago. If you could figure the salary out, you could trade for somebody. Maybe the WNBA trade deadline has already passed, meaning there's no blockbuster move available to replace them. Salary cap restrictions and guaranteed contracts mean even signing a replacement requires painful decisions like waiving a current player. If Aari is injured, they have a hardship slot. If Ari is not injured, I think they have 10 health. Sure, hardship exceptions exist, but they're temporary. And finding an experienced game-ready point guard at this stage of the year is like finding water in a desert. Experience last night in last night's blowout loss. Indiana lost by 35 points from the Phoenix Mercury. In last night's game, Sydney Colson just experienced an ACL tear. The game against the Mercury will now be remembered less for the scoreboard and more for how it reshaped the Fever season. It was already going to be a fight to stay in the playoff hunt. It is what it is. Like it's getting very close to just writing off the Fever season. Thank God they had that 5-game win streak, because like the Indiana Fever look, the Indiana 20 games makes the playoffs. I don't know when Caitlin comes back. Now without 2 of their only active point guards, that fight just became a full and uphill battle. Unless something drastic changes, this night might be the one we look back on as the moment the Fever's playoff dream started to unravel. Clock is ticking, if not running out on Caitlin Clark. But of course, if she did return and she did take over this team, and she did take it on a deep playoff run, that would have to be a healthy Caitlin, healthy physically, healthy mentally. And that's why all eyes are about to turn to one person. Because without Caitlin Clark, the Fever aren't just shorthanded, they're stranded. Now, it did not look good after that game last night. Was getting worried that Ari McDonald had a boot on. Sid Colson went down, and it looked very similar to the month of June. The Indiana Fever basketball team is more than likely struggling at the point guard position, yet again with Sydney Colson and Ari McDonald both officially out for the season. The Indiana Fever now face a roster crisis that goes far beyond simply losing 2 players. If Ari's okay, they've got 10 healthy players. When you've got 10 healthy players and one of them is you've got a half a point guard, it's very clear that Stephanie White does not. Chloe Beebe is not part of Stephanie White's plans. On paper, they still have 10 healthy players, but in reality, that number is misleading. It is not possible for the Indiana Fever to go out with more than 10 players the rest of the year. They have 2 rest-of-season injuries on guaranteed contracts. They can't go out with more than 10 players the rest of the year. And the problem is the coach doesn't like playing 2. Playing 3 other players. The coach doesn't like playing KK. The coach doesn't like playing Chloe Beebe. And the coach doesn't like playing Bree Turner. Bree Turner just stinks. Head coach Stephanie White has been reluctant to use certain bench players, meaning the effective rotation is much smaller. In several games this year, she's leaned on just 7 players even when the bench was available. The Anti-Anna Fever injuries will only get worse in blowout loss versus Mercury. So again, it just kept getting worse. Okay, it's bad enough they lost Caitlin Clark. My Angel Reese is gone for who knows. We don't know when Caitlin coming back. We don't know when Angel Reese is coming back. Now with both point guards gone, the depth chart looks paper thin. The point guard position is the heart of any team's offense, the one spot you can't afford to neglect. For Indiana, that spot is now empty. All 3 primary ball handlers are hurt. She tore her groin so badly that she's already been privately ruled out for the rest of the season. Yet the league wants to keep the media and the fans in the dark about this so that people keep tuning in figuring, oh, she'll be back soon. Colson and McDonald are done for the year, and Caitlin Clark is still working her way back. Without a floor general, the Fever are forced into awkward solutions, shifting Kelsey Mitchell, who's a natural scorer, into the lead guard role, asking Sophie Cunningham to initiate offense despite not being a true ball handler. Be a go play. Point guard at the weekend or against Chicago. But this is grim. There are 2 players that are going to be insane. Or even having Aaliyah Boston bring the ball up in certain situations. A sign of just how desperate things have become. Roster rules make the situation even more complicated. The WNBA's hardship exemption allows a team to temporarily sign an extra player when too many are injured. We're going to be huge, like Colson. Look, Cole is still going to be around there. When Caitlin comes back, it's not like when Caitlin comes back, they're in a bad spot. But the thing is, with the 2 of them out, they're able to get someone on a hardship. But if they want to replace 2 for 2, they have to cut one of them. But to replace both Coulson and McDonald, the Fever would have to free up a roster spot, meaning they might need to waive someone mid-season. The most talked about possibility is cutting Chloe Beebe, who recently signed for the rest of the year, but hasn't been in White's rotation. They have to choose to do one of 2 things. They have to choose to waive the shock lock or waive the injured player in Coulson. Another option, far more controversial, would be to waive Coulson outright to open a permanent slot, even though she's now sidelined. Fans have been buzzing about potential replacements. Some are calling for Kennedy Carter, a proven scorer and capable point guard, though her reputation for being difficult in the locker room makes her a gamble. We can sign a hardship player. We can't even sign Grace Berger. Do you know how bad it is when we can't even sign Grace Berger? Others wish the team could bring back Grace Bergerer, a smart playmaker now with Dallas, but her current contract makes that unlikely. The problem is that many of the league's most dependable backup guards are already signed and the trade deadline has passed, so even dangling a draft pick won't bring help. This is why the loss of Coulson and McDonald feels so devastating. The Fever were 8-5 with Caitlin Clark, and they're now 9-7 without Caitlin Clark. The Fever aren't just shorthanded. They're strategically cornered with no easy path to adding talent and non-natural point guard on the floor. I'll still watch the Fever quite a bit. I watched the fourth quarter Sunday, but I'm watching in part to gauge how she's reacting to their ups and their downs. Now she's coaching, she's cheerleading. Every possession becomes harder, every opponent's defense becomes tougher, and every mistake becomes magnified. The timing couldn't be worse. The playoff race is tightening and Indiana's margin for error is vanishing. Everyone other than Sophie Cunningham is at fault. Caitlin Clark is at fault for not standing up to her teammates all the time, for her teammates at all times. She did do it once against Angel Reese when she shoved Natasha Howard. Natasha Howard's at fault. That actually holds a fault. The only realistic way forward is either a bold signing that changes the team's energy or the return of their franchise centerpiece. And that's where the pressure shifts squarely onto Caitlin Clark's shoulders. Do you take a chance on a journeyman? Do you take a chance on a WNBA vet? Do you take a chance on a young player? But I don't know what the right thing to do is right now. While the Indiana Fever season is standing on a knife's edge, and the only person who can tilt it back in their favor is Caitlin Clark. So, Sophie Cunningham says she good after leaving the game with a left ankle injury, then returning, coming off the bench in the second half. Before the injuries to Sydney Coulson and Aari McDonald, the plan was to bring Caitlin back carefully, making sure she was fully ready before stepping onto the court again. That luxury is gone. The team has no true point guard left, and without her, the offense risks collapsing under the weight of forced improvisation. Think about this. She had played 185 straight games through college in her rookie WNBA season. 185 straight without missing, one because of injury. And now this season, she has missed games 4 different times with various leg pulls. Kane isn't just the Fever's best player. She's the engine that makes the entire system run. Her court vision creates opportunities others can't. Her deep shooting forces defenses to stretch far beyond the arc. Her leadership sets the tone in high pressure moments. Even when she's not scoring, her presence changes how every opponent defends. The Indiana Fever and what they can do in free agency. Well, not in free agency. What they can do to fix their point guard situation. Opening space. For shooters like Kelsey Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham, and giving Aaliyah Boston more room to operate inside. The problem is bringing her back early comes with its own risks. Pushing too soon could aggravate her condition. And with the Fever's long-term future tied to her, any setback would be disastrous. But the reality is stark. Do not rush Caitlin. Clark back, though, she's going to have to play. I mean, I don't know what else they do. Without her, Indiana is dangerously close to falling out of the playoff picture entirely or limping in as an 8th seed with no real shot to advance. The emotional impact matters too. This team has been hit with blow after blow this season. Losing 2 guards in one night was a morale gut punch, and the locker room is searching for a spark. Completely. She saved her career, and Sid Coulson has had the biggest role she's had in quite a while, especially with Caitlin down. And when Caitlin was back, she was getting DMPS, and she was happy I had DMPS, and she was coming back in and playing to play 30 minutes in one of those games. Caitlin's return wouldn't just fill the point guard gap. It would give the players belief again. It would rally the fan base, re-energize the home crowd, and signal to the rest of the league that Indiana isn't going to fold. They have 2 rest of season injuries on guaranteed contracts. They can't go out with more than 10 players the rest of the year. And the problem is the coach doesn't like playing 3 other players. The coach doesn't like playing KK. The coach doesn't like playing Chloe Beebe, and the coach doesn't like playing Bree Turner. Bree Turner just stinks. Her comeback would also force opponents to adjust instantly. Right now, teams can pressure the Fever's replacement ball handlers into turnovers, collapse on Boston without fear of a kick-out three, and dictate the pace. With Both, Caitlin on the floor, that entire defensive game plan changes. I would assume they would try to sign her for the rest of the year if they don't want her to get away. What a mess. You put Caitlin Clark back at the controls of this team. With this depth, and the Fever could win it all. They could. They could win it all. The games remain before the playoffs commence on September 14th. So the clock is ticking, if not running out, on Caitlin Clark. But of course, if she did return and she did take over this team and she did take it on a deep playoff run, that would have to be a healthy Caitlin, healthy physically, healthy mentally, floor-spaced, and aggressive. The truth is, Caitlin Clark's return has gone from important to absolutely urgent. Without her, this season risks becoming a cautionary tale of how quickly things can unravel. With her, the Fever still have a fighting chance to make noise when it matters most. Ari played in China last season, so look, there's a chance that she's ready to play in the playoffs in China and make good money over there. But for Sid Coulson, it's kind of heartbreaking for Coulson because it might actually be the last time she plays Pro Bowl. I'm sure Sid Coulson is going to be fine. I'm sure she's going to be on some sort of color commentary, whether it be for Athletes Unlimited. I think she's enough involved in AU, she'll probably stick with that. Whether it be in Athletes Unlimited, whether it be in Unrivaled, whether it be with the WNBA next year, whether she retires, I don't know. There is a good chance that Sid Coulson retires and the Fever just kind of help her get back to normal. And the Indiana Fever season has reached a turning point. Losing Sydney Coulson and Ari McDonald in the same night was a devastating blow, and the roster is now stretched to its breaking point. The path forward is clear. Either make a bold roster, move against the odds, or get Caitlin Clark back on the floor to lead this team through the storm. The reason why I'm such a big fan of Grace Berger is that you can see when she plays with Paige, when she gets the ball, she's not looking for hers. She's looking to get the ball back to Paige. She is always looking to get the ball to better players, and the WNBA has a severe shortage. Fans have seen all year what she means to this franchise. Her skill, her leadership, and her competitive fire are exactly what the Fever need in this moment. The question now isn't whether Caitlin can make a difference. It's whether she can get back in time to save the season. If you believe Caitlin Clark can lead this team through adversity and into the playoffs, make sure to comment 100% and let everyone know you're standing with her. The fight isn't over yet, but it's going to take everything they've